This is a 1997 Mitsubishi 3000 GT base model, 5-speed transmission. Now, if you notice one thing about this car and why it's so desirable to a lot of people is the styling doesn't look dated. It's very wide. It's a very low wide car. And honestly, it doesn't look like a 97. There's not a lot of these on the road. So, you know, they're kind of hard to come by. Very, very intimidating car for most of the cars in today's standards. So let's look at the interior. Now, this interior hasn't been cleaned or anything, of course, so it's pretty dirty, but you have the bucket seats. You can see here this car has 255,000 miles, which is very, very rare for a 3000 GT, because they always have some sort of issues, ticking, smoking, burning oil. The biggest downfall in these cars are actually the transmissions. But the display here, of course, on the turbo model, you're going to have a turbo gauge. But here you've got, can't see if you can see that. I don't know if you can see that. That's water temp, oil pressure, and battery. And you can see the interior is spacious in the front. You know, you can sit here. I'm 6'2", and I fit in this car pretty comfortably. But your biggest issue, your back seat. I mean, what, like, who is going to be able to sit there? You can't fit anybody. Of course, you can let the seat all the way up, and you can have about that much room. But this car is not built to carry anybody. So that's it's kind of a flaw in this car, but at least you have it, you know, a back seat back there just in case you need it. Let me open the hood for you. Da, da, da. Oh, shit. Single overhead cam. Yes, this is a single overhead cam. It's got 162 horsepower. I believe 162 or 164 horsepower. This particular motor is the stock motor. The VIN numbers and everything match up. Transmission has been changed. Doesn't have any oil leaks. Runs very good. So let's take it for a test drive. See if we can get a little squeal out of the tires. How about that? It's about 80 right now. Alright. Got a little squeal. Yeah. Brakes are horrible. Yeah, brakes are really bad. Yeah, you see, I mean, it's for what it is, it's okay. It's not great, but you know, it's more than efficient than, you know, what you need driving on the street and stuff like that. Okay, guys. Now I've got to do something about getting me a better tripod because this thing keeps falling on me. But overall, 3000 GT is a great little car. Like I said, the styling is not dated like some other 90s cars. You drive in this car and you'll have a lot of people coming up to you and say, "Hey, what kind of car is that? What year is it?" You know, people that don't know about cars. It is landmark for technology. When these cars came out, they was way more technology advanced than other cars like the Toyota Supra and stuff like that. Now, Me personally, I like the single overhead cam better, because I'm not the type of person to go out and street race and try to race everybody all the time. And the single overhead cam, the parts are cheaper. There's more room under the hood. It's just a better car if you're going to work on it yourself. And for me, you know, I'm not driving 150 miles an hour down the freeway or whatever, so it's a good cruising car. There is arguments about, well, is the dual overhead cam better than the single overhead cam? And it all depends on how you drive the car, how it's maintained. Like I said, this one's got 255,000 miles on it, and it still runs and drives good, besides the brakes or whatever. But it doesn't smoke under acceleration. The pickup is pretty good. It's more than enough. I mean, even with the single overhead cam engine, and the car being as heavy as it is, if you drive a Honda Civic and you get in this and you're like, wow, this, you know, this has got some power to it. But it's nowhere near, you know, Toyota Supra or the FD RX-7 or Skyline or anything like that. It's not nowhere near that. So if you get a 3000 GT, expect to you know, spend some money on maintenance. If you're not, you know, mechanically inclined, you're not going to do it yourself. Overall, like I said, overall from a 1 to 10, I'd probably give this car roughly a 7. I mean, it's a fun car to drive. It attracts a lot of attention. Not a lot of people know what it is. It's got enough passing power with the V6, even with the single overhead cam. You stomp on the gas, I mean, you pretty much got torque, you got power there to get around cars. Gas mileage is not great, but you don't buy a car like this for gas mileage. The interior is somewhat cheap looking, plasticky, but functional. I mean, everything works. I mean, there's nothing basically falling apart or anything like that. Don't get this car if it's going to be your main driver and if you got kids, because you can't fit shit back there. But yeah, solid, you know, 7 out of 10. I've driven better and I've driven worse, and that's pretty much my opinion on this car.